for the meeting on the video.
Oh, and it looks like we've got some people waiting to come in. All right. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and I'll start with our land acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge that we live and work on the unceded land of the Dena'ina people and thank them for their past, present, and future stewardship of the land on which we live. With that, can we go ahead and do roll call, please?
Alyssa Rodriguez.
Present.
Anna Brawley.
Hi, I'm here. Just joined.
Carolyn Hall.
Here.
Lindsay Hobson.
Here.
Tasha Hutch. No. Nolan Cloda. Carla McConnell.
Here.
Jimmy Minor.
Present.
James Smallwood Jr.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. With that, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
This is Lindsay. Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
This is Anna. I'll second.
I just want to make sure we have a proper record.
Thank you. Okay, so any discussion about the agenda?
Madam Chair, before you move forward, I don't think my name was called during roll call. This is Jonathan King. I am also here.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Oh, sorry, Jonathan. My apologies.
That's okay. Alyssa and I are both underlined with the same line, so I disappear there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, any discussion of the agenda, any items that folks would like to add before we run down these? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is the selection of the chair and vice chair. And I may need a little bit of help with the proper procedure here. I would like to make a nomination. I don't know if I can go ahead and do that now or if we need to open it up to the floor for others to make a nomination first.
You can select a nominee.
Okay, I'd like to nominate Lindsay for the role of chair.
Madam Chair, I'd like to second that. And thank you for your service, since you're clearly choosing not to serve another term.
Thank you. Any other nominations? I think if not, then we put this to a vote, but I want to make sure that we have an open floor for any other nominations.
This is Anna. Can I just ask a process question? Are we doing chair and vice chair one at a time, or because we obviously need both?
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe. Okay, I was gonna say I believe that's how we've done it in the past, but thank you. Okay, so with that, we have someone in the lobby. We have Tasha in the lobby. So want to make sure we have a chance to admit Tasha and she can vote. Okay, Tasha, we were just making nominations for chair, and so I had just nominated Lindsay as chair. And I unless anybody wants to nominate anyone else, we were going to go ahead and put that to a vote. I think we can. Gosh, I don't remember how we did it when we were on Teams last time. Do we just ask for opposition and go that route, or do we go around and individually vote? How do we do this on Teams? I appreciate some guidance.
Either way.
Can I ask a quick question? So we just only have one nominee for president, or sorry, for chair. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Currently.
Correct.
Okay.
That's why I thought we might just go ahead and ask if there's any opposition and go that route.
I believe you can do that if there's only one nominee.
Okay, so let's maybe go that route. With that, then, if anyone opposes, please unmute and speak your opposition. Okay, hearing none, I believe that means we have elected Lindsay as chair. Congratulations, Lindsay.
Thank you. Thank you all for this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to it. And again, I want to thank Alyssa for your leadership this past year. And yeah, looking forward to the year ahead.
Thank you very much. We're excited to have you and really appreciate you stepping up to lead us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, with that, let's go ahead and take nominations for vice chair.
So, Madam Chair, may I say that I am not standing for vice chair again this year. I am actively trying to stay involved, but also reduce my workload. So it's not like being vice chair is particularly challenging, but I thought it would be good for us to pass the leadership opportunities around.
Understandable, and thank you very much for your leadership, Jonathan. It's been wonderful to have you as vice chair, and I very much have appreciated you in this role. So thank you. All right, nominations for vice chair. Sorry for the background noise. I'm going to mute myself for a moment.
Everybody at once. James, are you interested?
I would have to respectfully decline that.
Okay.
This is Anna. I'll nominate Carla
No.
McConnell. Just to see.
Thank you so much, but I have to decline that also. My plate is full.
This is
What about
Carolyn.
you, Anna? Oh, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, Carla, I think you and I are on the same page. I was going to nominate Anna for vice chair. This is Carolyn Hall.
Anna, are you up to that?
So I would accept that nomination with the caveat that I'm relatively new to the group. So if anybody else is interested, I am happy to support others as well.
It's a great way to learn, Anna.
Mm-hmm.
So happy to second Anna's the nomination of Anna to be our vice chair.
Thank you. Awesome. So I think with that, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote unless there are any other nominations. So I'll be silent for a moment and give people some space. Okay, so with that, any opposition, please speak now. All right, with that, we have Anna as our new vice chair. Welcome, Anna, and congratulations. I assume you have a lengthy speech that you prepared, Anna?
I would accept conveniently. There's some chainsaws going behind me, so I should stay on mute.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so with that, we have our new chair and vice chair, Lindsay and Anna. Congratulations to you both, and we are very much excited for the new leadership. I know I am excited and really appreciate both of you stepping up into these roles. Thank you. Okay, so with that, unless anyone else has anything else they'd like to say, we will move on to the informational reports and start with the administration.
Do you want me to scare Lindsay out of her mind right now? Because I think procedurally, I actually think you're supposed to hand the gavel over to her once she's elected.
Oh, you know,
but we don't have to.
Sure.
We don't have to.
And maybe, so Lindsay, would you like to take over, or would you like me to finish out this meeting?
I would like you to finish out this meeting.
Okay, I was going to say I'm happy either way. So, but thank you, Carla. I appreciate that. Okay, So with that, we'll move on to informational reports with the administration.
Through the chair, I'm the new acting OMB director. To my left is Larry Baker, senior policy advisor. To my right is Portia Noble. Portia will directly speak regarding ARPA funds. And Larry Baker will take over in regards to budget objectives on behalf of the mayor. Go ahead, Larry.
Good morning. As an agenda item, one of the listed items is what is the objectives of the mayor and as it relates to the budget. There's been a lot of comments about specific things that may or may not be happening as it relates to campaign statements. And I want to caution everyone that the campaign is over and now the part of governing has begun. And so what the administrative student is going to do is to look thoroughly into each and every department and meet with the various department heads and find out what the funding level is in light of where we are currently. We're obviously concerned that the last few years we have taxed to the cap. So, that drives the equation as to the available resources to be budgeted for. I'm not going to give you any specific numbers today because we're in that developing process. But we're going to look for efficiencies in government as any new administration would look at. And we will prioritize functions of each and every department. We've used this methodology of budgeting before. You may or may not have been involved in that, but where you actually look to specific areas and functions of each and every department, and are those absolutely necessary, and what are they prioritized? I think that we're going to look to some resources. You will hear some announcements within the next couple of weeks that will help us in that analysis. And within the next couple of weeks, we'll begin to identify priorities. Each and every department, whether it has 3 members in its department. We have a couple of departments that only have 3 staff members. To police and fire that have hundreds, and public works have hundreds of employees and different functionalities. And we'll be looking at each of those with a fresh set of eyes. That doesn't mean that things that we have done in the past that we will not continue to do, because very likely the core functions will all remain. We may approach it from a different manner. That happens when you change an administration. I have been involved in prior administrations, so come to this position to help the mayor with some experience, specifically in the budgeting of our government. So, with that, thank you all for your service on the Budget Advisory Commission. And we'll be working very closely with you as we begin to develop the plans and start meeting with you. But we appreciate your help. Thank you.
Okay, Portia.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Any questions?
This is Anna. I just had a question about the general timeline for the budget, because I know I think it's usually would start in early July, but obviously you guys are still getting settled in. So I just wondered where we're at with that.
Through the chair, for the last 2 weeks, I've been diligently catching up to the deadlines. Thankfully, I have been an employee for the Municipality of Anchorage for the last 10 years, so I know the system pretty well. Is basically just speeding up certain timelines and getting us back on track. That said, we're in a good spot right now, and I'll cover the other topics in a couple of minutes.
Thanks.
This is Lindsay. I think that my I guess my question is that maybe at our last meeting, we had talked about potentially looping in as part of this process, in terms of efficiency for these department heads or these departments. Part of our task was to we were assigned different departments to work with to better understand individual departments' budgets and present on that. And so I don't know if the departments have, drafted transition memos or if this is all part of the transition process, but if there's some way that we might be able to observe or somehow streamline this process that we plan to go through anyway.
You want to take it?
Yes, a complete transition report was done specifically for Office of Management and Budget. That was chairman of that committee was Cheryl Frasca, and she had several members. And the final report is yet to be received. There's several, because there was some questions as to the appendices and what appendices that was attached. But that will be a format for the Budget Advisory Commission and as to how the transition viewed as they went deep into government and the entire OMB area. So when that's ready for release, and we'll probably one of your very future meetings, that'll be complete. Then Cheryl will be available, as will other committee members, if you have questions that for things that they have found as in terms of policy, and so that you certainly will have the ability to ask questions and maybe better fully understand how the rationale. I might add to you that Ms. Frasca comes with a great deal of experience in local government and state government. She has served as Office of Management and Budget in the municipality for 6 years, for 12 years, 9 years under 2 mayors, and headed the state's Office of Management and Budget for 2 governors. So probably there's very few people in the state of Alaska that have a breadth and knowledge of not only state government and how funding intercedes with local government, but she had a very highly qualified team on her transition team that really gave us a very comprehensive look. And I think it'll be very helpful to the Budget Advisory Commission to go through that process, because that will give you a really good understanding from where the administration is intending to drive and assist in developing the budget.
Great, thanks.
I have
forward to that.
Anna has her hand raised. Anna?
Sorry, I was on mute. I think maybe related to that. So one of the things that we were working on that I know got waylaid a bit during the transition was the review of department budgets, which has been done in years past. I think that maybe is what maybe what Lindsay was referring to. So not just the transition itself, but really meeting with department heads to learn more what basically what's covered under their budget and what their main responsibilities are. So we each had assignments, and I know before Lance had left, he was going to work on scheduling those, but we just haven't gotten back to that. So that's maybe a second separate piece from the transition reports themselves.
Through the chair, I was planning to address those items in item D in our agenda, and then answer them accordingly, if you wouldn't mind.
Yep, that sounds great. Thanks.
Okay. Is there any other questions for Mr. Baker?
I wanted to ask a more kind of broad question. We've put this to the assembly before, and we've put this to the administration, and wanted to put it to the new administration. From your perspective, how can the BAC best be of service to the administration? What what kinds of things would you like to see us tackle that would be most helpful for you? We've definitely got our own thoughts about how we might be most helpful, but definitely want to hear from you what you think the highest and best use of the BAC is.
Well, in the past, BAC is actually an integral part, as our charter sets up, as you're one commission that is vital to this government's development. And I think the way that you can be most helpful is as the OMB office begins to roll out its budget and you have your meetings, is to give us your life experiences and input, because you come at it as citizens, and that is a valued component, because you, as the various things are presented to you, you have a perspective that is different than government, and because you're a citizens advisory to the government. So there's nothing specifically that you could be, I mean, just participating and commenting and asking questions and better understanding and things always positive come out of the Budget Advisory Commission. You challenge the administration, and that's what you're there for. And so you provide a service that sometimes we in government don't think about, because we're looking at it from the government side, you're looking at it from the taxpayer side, and as citizens of this community. And so just participating, everybody participating is a huge benefit, because you will ask questions that we haven't thought about.
Okay, any other questions before we move on to the next item? Okay, hearing none, moving on to ARPA funds.
Could you put us on mute for 1 second? Can we have a minute for 1 second, please?
Yes.
Alyssa, I believe that each of them was going to present, right, to give an update.
That was kind of what I was thinking.
Okay.
Okay, so now Portia will talk about ARPA funds.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Portia Noble, and I'm the Director of Community Engagement, and I've now been tasked with helping with the ARPA funds. So the screen that you're seeing right now, I just wanted to give you guys, these are the most up-to-date numbers that we have this morning. So in terms of what we've spent of ARPA grants, it's a little over 26 million. Our remaining balance is right around 20 million. In encumbrance, we have like right around 4 million. And that just is in regards to, we've got some that are still have administered purchasing orders, or we're waiting for the invoice to be created. So we've got some in the process. And then in terms of just the overall grantees, we have 29 that are completed, 15 that are in progress, and then we have 26 that I am currently working on the grant agreements with. So for example, some of these grantees are actually in various departments. So we've got like Parks and Recs that I'll need to be working with, in finance and some other departments to actually have that agreement drafted, because obviously those departments know best of what their needs are. And then lastly, I just wanted to give you guys an update talking with the Cook Inlet Lending Center. As of July 20th, they have funded 183 small businesses, which remained from the wait list from round 4, and that's totaling $1,830. And they're really excited because business owners have been able to really revamp their businesses and employ many people in the city of Anchorage, so that's been really great. But if you guys have any specific questions, like I said, I'm just kind of in this process a little over a week, so right now I've just been calling the grantees as a whole just to get an idea of where they are in their process, because there is just the different steps of getting the document signed, getting their Appendix C in, and just making sure everyone, both the government and the grantees, are on the same page. There are 3, one of them being the Alaska Zoo. I don't know if you have any constituents that have asked about. There was a glitch in SAP with the actual purchasing order. So some of the 2 cultural pillars and then the Alaska Zoo, there's just a tad bit of a glitch that we're working with purchasing to get that fixed so that those grants can go directly out. There's just a little trouble there. So working on that. But again, if you have any specific questions, we've had some assembly members just send out my email, and then the grantees have just reached out to me directly, and that's been really helpful just to get the message directly to them and then working with them one-on-one on those grants. So I'm going to add my email in the chat right now, and then if you guys have any questions for me, I'm happy to take some now, or feel free to send me an email or give me a call whenever you need.
Thank you, Portia. Any questions for Portia?
Hi, this is Carolyn Hall. Portia, I'm wondering, is there going to be a rolling update on the website on muni.org or anything like that as far as when it comes to the disbursement of funds and who's receiving these funds?
Carolyn, that's a great question. Day 1, we reached out to IT about revamping our website as a whole with actually accurate information with obviously new administration. So we are in the process of that, but I would be happy to have a tab within the department so that we can have access to those grantees. So I will make a note of that, and that will be something that we'll add with IT when working on revamping the website. But also, Carolyn, just because I know the website is going to take some time, if you would like me to just send you a list, I can send you a list of the ones that are completed. Would that be helpful right now?
Yeah, I think that would be really helpful for us as a group to have access to that information while you're updating the website. Thank you.
Okay, happy to send that over.
Thank you for that question.
Can you put on hold for 1 second?
Any other questions while we're waiting?
Is there any?
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we're ready to move on to the school district report then. Andy?
Okay, thank you. So right now, it's summertime. It's a little bit slower for us. We're trying to close out our FY21 books and get everything wrapped up there. That usually takes us a few months, and we've only been at it a couple of weeks. So we're kind of in a lull on like having any actual information or documents we can provide you on that front. We are operating summer schools, as you know, or you probably heard. We're operating our 2nd session of summer school. The first one went exceedingly well. A lot of our map data showed quite a bit of growth in some of the student areas, so that was good. And then what we're working on now as part of the finance office is allocating our ARP money as well. So the district received about has been authorized about $112 million of ARP money that can be used on a variety of things, air handling, getting students caught back up to speed, things like that, just COVID mitigation, lots of purposes. The money is really flexible and is valid through September of 24. Right now, we're just working with our instructional teams, trying to develop what these resources are going to be used for, what kind of interventions that they need to put in place to help the student growth, and people continue to try to catch student learning back up to where it should be. So our plan on the timeline for the ARP money and getting that allocated will be, I think we plan to submit it to our board, I believe the 2nd meeting in August, which is around the August 20th, I believe. So we'll get the district's plan submitted to the board and let them have a chance to look at it and weigh in as well. But we're still in the process of developing that. But as we develop that, we'll certainly keep this group apprised of what we're doing and how that money is going to be spent and let you guys weigh in on it as well. I believe Carl's on here too, if he wants to add something from the school board perspective.
Hi, folks. Carl Jacobs here. Andy covered the talking points as I understand them. I'd be glad to listen on any questions or take any feedback back to the rest of the board too. So, and congratulations to the new chair and vice chair.
Carla's got her hand raised. Carla? Oh, Carla, I think
Hi,
you.
good
Oh, there
afternoon.
you
Sorry, what? Hello?
Nothing. I just thought that you were muted. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just at first glance, Andy, because you said you had just begun kind of the reconciliation of the previous fiscal year. Does it look like that you are way under budget from what you expected? I know due to COVID, I think you said before that you guys were running lower than budget, but does it look like it's going to be that way?
Yes, our expenditures are coming in under budget. Unfortunately, also our revenue is coming significantly under budget, so we are planning on taking a loss this year, although it is going to be manageable, and with the help of the stimulus money, we should be in a fairly stable financial position coming forward. And we'll get those reports to you as we get them and see what exactly that financial loss was. You know, in our budget that we prepared for FY21, we planned on spending about $8.3 million of fund balance just as a normal course of budgeting to not have to make as many layoffs as otherwise we could have had to make. We are going to exceed that delta between revenue and expenditures, but it shouldn't be by a whole lot, I don't think. And it really just kind of depends on how we close out. Like, we got a lot of savings on workers' comp and substitutes. So we did have a lot of savings in areas, and we'll lay those out once we kind of get those in place and have a presentable format once everything's kind of gone through our audit and we get closer to the end.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Andy or Carl? Thank you both for being here for your updates.
Yes, this is Tasha. I had a question. So last year, I think that we had a number of students that were doing online classes, virtual, and a number of them returned to the schools. But I think with the increasing COVID numbers, we might see that transition back to more virtual learning. Are there is anything like that being anticipated? Because I felt like the virtual support through ASD was really needed some additional support. There were people doing classroom teaching and virtual teaching, which made it hard to reach folks. And so I just wondered if that was part of the consideration for the upcoming school year.
Sure, great question. So as determining the need and the effect on student enrollment, that's honestly, that's one of my bigger worries. I just don't know how that's going to shake out. But within the SRSA Act funds that we got for the second round of stimulus, we do have a pool of virtual teachers that are going to be dedicated solely to online learning. So hopefully those can address some of those needs where the teachers are splitting their time between in-person and virtual, and try to alleviate that and just being able to focus on one option. But as far as we'll know more once we start getting enrollment in. I think it's online enrollment's opened up, but a lot of the students don't come back, and we don't really know until the kids actually show up at the front door on the first day of school. So we do have some pools of unallocated teachers as well that we can adjust as the enrollment comes in case we have high class sizes or we need more in virtual or something like that. But hopefully we budgeted well enough where we can remain flexible and take care of the students' needs.
Thanks, Andy. Any other questions? And okay, so with that, I think we'll move on, but it looks like I skipped assembly report. My apologies for that. Yeah, my apologies. I noticed we have Forrest on, or did on the call. Sorry about that, Forrest. Would you mind go ahead and giving us the assembly report?
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, Alyssa. And, you know, we just had our first budget committee meeting last week with the administration and began our conversations primarily about building the 2022 budget and that process and what it's going to look like. We also spoke with the OMB director about the planned 5 to 8% cuts per department and what that might look like. Oh, I should also mention I'm here because I'm the new budget chair, and Austin Quinn Davidson will be my vice chair. I was appointed by Chair LaFrance. So we had a little bit of a conversation about that, about the departments being asked to find cuts. The administration informed us that they're looking for an overall 5% cut to the budget, but they're not going to cut, or at least at this point, they're not planning to cut police and fire. So that will, of course, require much larger cuts from the other departments. So that was part of our discussion. I'm trying to think if there was anything else specifically we talked about. We mentioned the promised 25% small business tax cut, but the OMB director said that was still very much in the preliminary stages and they weren't ready to discuss that. We got a very good report from Dan Moore at Treasury about revenues, and I think that will be coming later, which was well received, and some mixed news there, but in general, we seem to be in good health. We haven't set we are just on the normal budget committee schedule right now. Going forward, we haven't started obviously getting into budget season where we're doing additional work sessions and special meetings and the like, and we hope to work with the administration on that as we get a little closer. Of course, I know that they are acutely aware, as we are, that budget season is already in full swing, that things it seems like it's a long way away, but actually October is right around the corner, and so we will I'm sure be working more soon. We would love to have the Budget Advisory Commission present, or someone from the new chair or whomever would like to be representative, come and speak at the next budget committee hearing meeting. I apologize, I don't have that date off the top of my head, but I'll make sure that Desiree gets that to you as soon as it's scheduled. So with that, I'm open to any questions, or I'll just hang around to listen to your discussion with the administration.
Thank you, Forrest. Really appreciate your report. That was fantastic. Any questions for Forrest?
This is Jimmy through the chair. Forrest, you mentioned that because we're not cutting from fire and police, that we'll have to make larger cuts on the rest of the budget. Do you know what that percentage ends up looking like at this point, or do you have it yet? I mean, I assume it ends up, police and fire are so large that it's probably something more like 10 to 15% in reality.
Yeah, I mean, I think the administration will probably speak to that in more detail during their presentation. But right, police and fire is, I believe, between 40 and 50% of the budget by itself. And so if you aren't going to cut that, or aren't going to cut sort of public safety more broadly, and that was the question too, that they indicated to us they weren't going to cut public safety. And so, well, how do you define public safety? Does that include the health department? Does that include the Department of Law's prosecutors division? Does that include certain kinds of road maintenance, or is it just police and fire? And I think these are details we're still working out with the administration. But certainly, if you exempt police and fire, and that is about half of our budget, then yeah, your math is other departments would have to face much larger cuts.
Thank you.
I believe Carolyn has her hand up. Carolyn, want to go ahead?
Thanks, Alyssa. Yeah, Forrest, I have two questions for you. First, just a quick comment. Congratulations on being the chair now of the Budget and Finance Committee. First question is, I believe it's the third largest budget item in the municipality is maintenance and operations. And so if the administration chooses to move forward with a 5 to 8% cut across the board, all departments, that sounds rather significant proportionally for that particular department. And I'm curious to know what the potential consequences, I guess, that might arise as a result of that. So that's just, I guess, maybe more of a comment than a question. But then my second question is, did Dan Moore during his presentation offer any kind of an update having to do with the alcohol tax and what that is looking like as far as revenue projections? Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Yes, he did. And basically, it's pretty remarkable. It's almost exactly where it was predicted to be, within, I think, 5%. It goes to the remarkable predictive powers of some of our professional staff. But the alcohol tax was coming in basically exactly where we expected it to be. With regard to M&O, I don't have any comment on that. Perhaps the administration will, but I think that will be certainly an area of concern for the Assembly once we enter into the back and forth on the budget. I think, is Carolyn, you frozen? If you had a follow-up, I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
I was just saying thank you. Thanks, Forrest.
Any other questions for Forrest before we move on? All right, hearing none, let's move on to OMB and the budget reviews. Department budget reviews, sorry.
So item number 1, BAC department budget reviews. I understand that OMB originally was planned to set up reviews. However, due to time constraints and development of 22 budget, at this time we're unable to do this and coordinate the meetings. If the commission is still interested, please feel to contact the department directors directly. Item number 2, 22, proposed budget timeline. Next slide, please, if you don't mind. So what you're looking at is a direct copy of an email that I sent to all the directors. And the most important item is the mayor's is looking for municipal-wide savings of not less than 5%. And the mayor is aware of that there could be other departments more significantly impacted. However, what I would like to point you to is some key dates. So by August 6th, all departments must submit their proposals. Between August 9th and 20th, the mayor, the executive managers, the department heads, the budget analyst, OMB director, will meet with each department head to discuss the objectives of the mayor's cost cutting of 5%. I think at that time the mayor will have obtained sufficient insight of what's going on with each department and then be more informed. On August 27th, September 1, and September 2, by that date, the mayor will make the 22 budget position decisions. And then September 1, OMB provides a 120-day memo with the mayor's preliminary budget information to the Assembly. So through September 9th through the 30th, OMB compiles the budget. So that's where we do most of our more work. And obviously October 1, OMB submits the budget and the 6-year fiscal plan to the Assembly. Next slide, please. So all the directors have received this as well. This is OMB budget preparation calendar, which details exactly what we need to get done and what other parties need to get done in order for us to be successful. And then, can we go back to the agenda, please, on the first slide? Item number 3. We don't have any slide deck because we have nothing that has changed. And then item number 4, draft 2021 year-to-date budget to actuals. We are currently through 49.6% of the year as of June 30th, 2021. We spent 42.1%. However, that number, we're under trending. There are no departments that are over trending. That said, that 42.1% underspending in general does not include IGCs and depreciation, and the OMB has to work more closely with CFO and the controller to get these amounts updated to more properly reflect the actual spending by each department. So that's the best thing. That's the best I can do at this moment. As it relates to underspending, does anyone have any questions about specific departments?
There are a handful of questions and comments going on in the chat, but I don't want to cut you off. So if you wanted to continue, then we can bring up those comments and questions at the end of.
No, I'm ready for the questions.
Okay, so one of the comments that was in the chat was Jonathan was calculating that if we hold police and fire harmless, then an overall reduction of 5% in the budget is going to actually result in an 8.6% reduction in individual budgets. If I got that correctly, is that correct, Jonathan?
That's correct, Alyssa. I mean, and those are rough numbers based upon the published FY20 numbers, but with a budget of 540 million, 225 million reserved for police and fire. If you exempt those from any cuts and you want to get 5% out of that 240 million, that means you're taking 8.6 out of the remainder. So just as a heads up for the BAC members.
Appreciate that. Thank you for doing those quick calculations. And then 2 other comments were a request for our BAC department assignments. If Layla, if you can send that out again, and then also to send out the the calendar for the budget again. That would be really helpful in terms of keeping track of what we need to be on top of at the next meetings. That would be really handy if you could send that out, Lila.
Yes, I'll send it out after this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with any other questions for OMB in general before we move on to audience participation? Okay.
Oh, sorry, I did have a question, Alyssa.
Yes, please.
So again, just in terms of timing, so we, our normal schedule is to meet the first Thursday of the month. And so our next one is actually in a couple weeks from now, just because this meeting was pushed back a little bit. But do we need to contemplate or have on the radar that we would be having additional work sessions? I actually haven't gone through the budget process as a member yet, so I don't know what's been customary. Or if we'll just use our regular monthly meetings for that purpose.
Yeah. We have in the past had specific work sessions, but that's really up to the new chair and vice chair, and then the commission as a whole if people feel that time is necessary outside of our regular meeting. So in the past, we've had one of our regular meetings, and then we decide if we need an extra meeting in between that and our following meeting. Anybody else want to weigh in on the extra meetings that we've had in the past?
Yeah, through the chair, this is Lindsay Hobson, and that is what we've done. We kind of evaluate, kind of take the temperature of the room and see who, if there is interest in having a supplemental meeting. I see Nolan with his hand raised, and he certainly can have some input on that, I'm sure. Nolan.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that the 5% overall cut or 8.6% to the non-public safety departments, I think is probably going to warrant some, careful attention by us. I suspect that, a lot of times I think these ideas are easier to hatch, in a vacuum to cut budgets across the board than they are in reality, as I think we've all seen. And so I think that there's probably going to be a big role for this group, if we're interested in digging into what some of those cuts are gonna mean and fleshing those out a bit. And so that's probably a good candidate for a couple of work sessions.
All right, thank you all for that input. Okay, so I think that we are now moving on to audience participation. I don't know, I haven't recognized that we have anybody on from the public, but if we do, we've got 3 minutes per public attendee. Lila, are you aware if we have anyone from the public who has called in?
No one has reached out.
All right, thank you. Okay, so with that, I think maybe we can move on to our open discussion. So are there any particular topics that BAC members would like to cover at this time and discuss, whether that's ARPA funds or the departmental reviews or budget cuts, anything like that?
This is Jimmy, through the chair. I just want to highlight that this, goal of an 8.6 reduction in an inflationary environment seems like quite the challenge. And, I just want to point out the inflation elements of this, that, in this environment, it will be, we're really going negative 13% potentially. So something to think about.
Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate that. Tasha?
Yes, thank you. I guess I wanted to just express some concern over the fact that we have less than half of the ARPA funds not allocated yet. And we had a few years to decide what to do with it when we're seeing increased COVID cases, which I think was predicted a long time ago. That I feel like we should put a lot of thought into how we can address the health issue versus some of the things that I think that we had initially allocated funds for, like, well, I won't go into a lot of detail, but I just feel like it was premature to allocate more than half of the funding without knowing what was going to be happening with COVID, knowing that that's the reason that we received that money. So I just want us to think how we're going to maybe advise how to allocate those funds moving forward.
Thank you, Tasha. I think you make a really good point, and that's something that I know I've wanted to be very thoughtful about, is what do we think the purpose should be of the remaining funds, and what are our thoughts on how they should be allocated? Anna, see your hands up.
Yeah, just on the department reviews, I can just comment. So I did actually meet, because the only one of the three I have I could remember was planning. So I met with Michelle McNulty after it was confirmed that she was going to be sticking around, or is proposed to stick around. So she actually gave a presentation that she had given in prior years, and it was a really good conversation. So anyway, I would just encourage other members, especially if we are reaching out directly, that it was a really great learning experience.
Fantastic. Thank you. Carolyn. Sorry, I think I got a late notification.
No, that's all right. Thanks. I was just on mute. Thanks for recognizing me. I just wanted to put this out there, and now may not be the time to have this discussion, considering the drastic increase statewide of COVID cases. But I would like to maybe bring to the attention of the group the possibility of meeting in person again at some point. Again, now might not be the time, considering the environment that we're in and how it's changed since the last time we had this discussion. But I am looking forward to when the group feels it's appropriate to meeting in person again.
Thank you. Yeah, I have had a number of other organizations that I'm with, and everyone's very anxious to get back in person. If you don't get Jonathan's fantastic weekly update on all things COVID, I would highly recommend it. But yeah, I think it's an important consideration to kind of think about when do we want to get back together in person, and how might we do that safely, and those sorts of things. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think now's the wrong time to have it if we want to start thinking about, fall being a good time to get back together. I don't know if anybody's got any input on that. Jonathan, you said you're actively writing your weekly update. I don't know if you have any thoughts, since you've done so much work on this, and any others who have thoughts on, when might we be looking at getting back together?
Yeah, I personally want to see what happens with the Delta variant. I know, we're having breakthrough cases in the vaccinated right now simply because the number of unvaccinated out there who are getting cases is giving the virus a lot of chance to take pot shots at the vaccinated. I know multiple employers in town who have stopped coming into work and have gone back to virtual or are requiring masking in the workplace. So we're in Anchorage, we're about to exceed our March highs for the virus and on track to exceed possibly the January highs. So my guess would be, I have no guess other than, yeah, probably not the right time. These things seem to be taking 2 to 3 months to pass, and so maybe we're talking about early fall. Maybe this will encourage people to get back to being to increase the vaccination rate. So, yeah, we'll see.
Thank you very much for that input. Yeah. Okay. And then Carolyn, I appreciate your comment about being leery to go to City Hall when there's no mandatory masking. So yeah, very much appreciate that comment. I know I'd given testimony about mask mandates and things like that, considering people who cannot get vaccinated. And one of my particular areas of concern were foster kids. So any foster children who are 12 and over who would be eligible, you need parental permission. It's not, or your caseworker's permission, and both of those can be very, very challenging to get. So you've got big populations of vulnerable people who can't get vaccinated. That's just one example, but yeah, I'm a big fan of the mask mandates in general. Okay, any other open discussion? I don't want to cut off that discussion. Anybody else want to weigh in on some of the comments that have already been made about ARPA, remaining ARPA fund distribution or anything of that nature?
This is James. Apologize, I haven't said anything to the whole meeting. I've been driving, but I do want to go back to I think what Anna suggested, having a work session. Would we be able to go ahead and plan that now? Because I think this is very, very important for us to have some time to really look at what the municipality is going to be proposing, or what the mayor is going to be proposing, considering that the cuts are not going to be 5%, but what Jonathan said, 8.1%. So I really want us to be able to examine that soon.
Thank you very much for that feedback. I don't want to speak out of turn, so I think Lindsay and Lila and Anna maybe can get together and start looking at some dates for that. But I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth as I'm stepping down. So.
This is Lindsay. Yes, James, we can definitely take a look at that and propose some dates.
Thank you.
Any other comments before we move on to when our next scheduled meetings are? Okay, hearing none, and as I'm scrolling through, I don't see anybody's hands up either. So our next scheduled meetings are August 5th, September 2nd, and October 7th. If there are any conflicts or anything like that, I'll leave it to our fearless leader stepping in, Lindsay and Anna, to coordinate with Lila if anything needs to be rescheduled. But with that, we'll take a motion to adjourn. But I want to thank Lindsay and Anna again for stepping up into these roles. Really appreciate it and looking forward to your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to it as well.
Same.
This is Tasha. I make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Tasha.
This is Lindsay. I'll second.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. So with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.